today I'm going to be showing you, because I've been getting a lot of requests for this, how to make these nifty little Investigator token cabochons for about 70 cents a piece. But first, let's go make a coffee. Alrighty, we are back. I'm gonna make these super duper cheap, right? About 60 cents a piece after you add it all up. So first of all, I'm gonna put the link in the description for all these parts that you're gonna need. You're gonna get them on AliExpress. So downside of this, kind of a disclosure, if you've ordered from AliExpress before, so it's about a 2 to 3 week minimum wait for whatever you're ordering. So as long as you're not in any hurry for this, you can get these super dirt cheap. What I'm gonna do is put the link down in the description for all the parts that I ordered that made the 30 millimeter. So these are the 30 millimeter versions of these. You can go to 25 if you want, which is just a smidge smaller. And these are the 30s, just the 30s and the 25s. So, but I'm also going to show you something else that I did. Let me get the overhead going here. A couple different angles, you can actually see what I'm talking about here. I went through the trouble of ordering a lot of stuff that because you know, since it's a 2-week wait time for everything that you're going to get, I went ahead and just ordered everything I thought I might need, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do 25 millimeter or 30. So I bought everything I needed to do both. Ended up doing the 30. I just like the size of the 30s better. I think they work fine on the board. And it feels good in the hand. You could have just as easily gone with the 25s, and you can still do that. You'll be able to look at all the parts that you need, but I will give you links to everything that you need, and then you can kind of adjust from there. One other thing that I did, you'll notice that a lot of these, and these are called cabochons. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, if I'm saying it completely wrong. Go ahead and straighten me out in the comments. But yeah, these are called cabochons. There's a couple different styles. So this one is called a red copper, and it's super duper cool. I don't know if you can see it in the video. Let me get the lighting a little better here. So this actually has a little texture on the bottom. And while that's pretty cool, the way I did this was I put two together back to back. So if you're gonna use these, you're not gonna get the benefit of that. But my original idea was to take this and snap these little ear things off and then glue two of these back to back. So it would have looked basically like this, right? What I ended up doing, like I said, I ordered a lot of parts. Okay, what I ended up doing is using these plain silver cabochon backs. So this is a cabochon domed lens. This is a cabochon base or back, and then this is a flat cabochon dome. There's one, and these are actually, if you look at this one, it's actually domed. If you look at it from the side, and these are actually flat. So what I did was I did a domed one on the back for the knocked out side, or the delayed or turn taken side. And then I did the domed for the color side. And so effectively I have two of these glued back to back with an image under the glass on each side. Not, you know, nothing really super technical about this. Now, you could still do this, the same thing with this, if you just want to break these little ears off. And I did take one, I broke it off and then just used a little file. You could even use like an emery board. If you wanted to just snap this little tab off right here and then file it down, it actually comes out looking pretty good. You do lose the copper finish, so if you're really into that color, you just we'll have one little spot around the outside that just doesn't have that color. It's just going to be a silver instead of color, but then you could like grind a couple more spots and make it look intentional. But I didn't go that route. Now you could also do that in 30. This is, I think this was just called bronze or brass, and then these were called red copper. But since it's such a small bit of metal and I didn't think it would affect it overall, I just went with the silver ones, which is these guys. It's just a chrome cabochon back. So the way I did it, and I'll put also, I will upload these to Dropbox so you can have them. These are the 25 millimeters. I'll upload, actually these are probably the 20s. What are these? Let me see. These are actually 23-ish. So I'll probably upload the 30s. If I won't go into like how to make this in PDF or in Acrobat or in any other, whatever image application that you use, Photoshop or Illustrator or whatnot. There's a lot of other free ones out there that you can use, especially if you're on Apple Linux or something of that nature. If you're working in Acrobat, it's a lot easier because you can actually go into the program, and I think you might be able to do it in Microsoft products as well. You can actually set the width of the image in here, and these were fairly readily available out on the forums. So a lot of people had already gone through, and shout out to you guys that have already gone through the effort of making these and then uploading them. I'll put links to those discussion threads as well, so you can go out and do what I did. So I just put this together because these are investigators that I have, with the exception of Cho. I think Cho is missing and I have him, so I had to do another little small one that had a few other characters that were missing from this. But yeah, the idea is you just get these and then you cut them out. So for cutting them out, if you're really good with a pair of scissors, I would just recommend doing that. I am terrible with a pair of scissors, so I actually found a piece of pipe that I had laid around that was really close to the 30 millimeter size that I was using, and I got a file and I just filed the inside of that pipe and made it like a sharp edge, and then I just took the pipe and kind of, you know, stuck it down onto the paper, and then I just gave it a whack with a rubber mallet on a piece of wood, and then I just gave it a turn, and it came out okay. Like, it wasn't perfect, it didn't look like I cut it with a razor blade, but because of the way that the edge of this is kind of obscured, and plus the glue that you're going to be using, like you don't really see the outside edge. And if you're making it a little bit bigger, which I did, that cut edge is going to kind of be pushed into that crease and then curled up. So even if it's not perfect, there's a couple millimeters here on the inside edge that you know, outside edge of the paper is going to be curled up. So it doesn't need, like, if you go through the effort of making it perfect, you can, but to me it was kind of wasted effort because it doesn't get, you know, it doesn't show through in the final product. So yeah, that being said, that's basically all I did. I just took the images, cut them out, and I didn't bother gluing them in here. But what I did do is, and you can, you know, use your favorite adhesive. You can use E6000. You know, there's all different flavors of, this is a regular silicone gasket maker. You could probably use that. You could use hot glue. I actually used a 2-part epoxy, the kind that it comes in a tube like a syringe, and you squirt it and you mix it together. Probably overkill for this, but I was wanting to make sure that these things didn't come apart because I figured they'd be hitting the floor and, you know, falling and getting chipped and whatnot. So yeah, I used that, and I haven't had one coming apart yet. So I'll give you a walk through the process I used. You may have a better way of doing this. If so, you know, let me know in the comments. But I basically just mixed a little bit of it together, and then I got a toothpick, and I just, with a toothpick, I dabbed it into the glue, and then I just sort of like dabbed it around the outside edge with the picture in there already. So I stuck the picture in there, and then, you know, made sure that there's a little bit of exposed metal here, and then I took the cabochon, stuck it in there, and if you look real closely, right above Cho's head, I'm not sure if the lighting's going to pick this up, but right around his head, around the top in this area, you can see one little spot where the glue sort of leaked in because I'm not perfect. Far actually from it, but it doesn't, honestly, it doesn't bother me. And the reason is because when it's sitting like this on the table, you always sort of get this you can see it right there really good. You always sort of get this shadow because it's a dome on the top, right? It, you know, it almost obscures and kind of hides it. And even if you got that perfect without that little bit of glue that splashes onto the image, it's gonna look like you did anyway. But again, not a perfectionist. I wasn't, you know, you could probably make these a lot cleaner and nicer than I did if you take your time. But anyway, so I got the domed side I used for the color, and that's just because I kind of like the idea of having it flipped over, you know, black and white, or that's actually a sepia tone to indicate that the turn has been taken. Since it's a, you know, you can randomize the turn order each turn, it does go around the table necessarily. You know, we were dealing with a lot of, hey, have I gone yet? Especially if we have like food breaks, people getting up, walking around. We have, you know, it's easy to lose track of whether or not you've taken your turn yet. So that's kind of how we use it. You could also use it to be knocked out. You flip it over to indicate you're knocked out. But yeah, either way you want to use it. Or the other thing you could do is just use one of these and then just put the image in the front. So you could just do an image on like that side of it and then not have the back image, and then just flip it over this way. But then you can't see who it is, you know, when you flip that image. So yeah, kind of pick your poison. I mean, there's a few different ways you can do this. Personally, I just kind of liked this the best. And then you could also do two flat sides, or you could do two rounded sides even if you wanted to, instead of having a flat and a rounded. That would also work. But anyway, once I had the images glued into the two pieces, then I took these and I just sort of ran them on some 220 grit sandpaper just to give it a little texture, and that gives the glue a little something to bite into. I would particularly recommend doing that if you're using something like E6000 or hot glue, because those glues aren't quite as adhesive. But you know, in my case, I went two-part epoxy. I probably didn't have to do that, but I scuffed these just to put some scratches and then put a little glue there and then stuck them all together. So actually what I did is, I think I went through and I did all my heroes first. I did all my investigators first, the sepias and the color side. So I had all of the sides, and then I went through, made another batch of glue, and then went through and stuck them all together. And I liked doing that because when you're sticking them together, you take these and you smash them. If you've glued stuff together like this before, you know that when you smush them together, and this is in woodworking, they tend to skew. Like the top will go this way and the bottom will go that way. So the first time you mash it, they're going to do that. The second time you straighten it up and mash it again, not so much. It should stay put. And you can use like a quick clamp, just like one of those steel clamps. In my case, I think I used, I just clamped it down to a piece of wood and then let it cure, which in the case of the two-part epoxy, it only takes a few minutes. It's fairly quick. Again, I went with the 30 millimeter, both flat. This one was rounded, so that's the dome one there. That's 30 millimeter, 24 cents a piece. And then these, like this is the red copper at 25 millimeter, were 18 cents a piece, and that's for these guys. But I went with the silver chrome ones, and these were even less. I think these were like 8 cents a piece or something. They were super cheap. So depending on which way you go, you could even get them down under 50 cents potentially. Maybe, no, I guess you'd be around 60, 70 cents a piece all in after shipping and everything, depending on how many of these things you're making. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Nothing really spectacularly magic about this. All pretty straightforward. And then you probably already noticed these guys sitting on the table, and if you did and you're curious, they're actually just player organizers that we came up with. We kind of did some play testing using just some little like mock-up cardboard ones, and then when we got something we liked, we just kind of put these on my Glowforge and carved them out. If anybody's interested, I could probably just share the file if y'all have access to a printer, or a laser engraver / printer. I could share that. If you got any questions, drop in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. And they work with a lot. And oh, I did want to mention this too. So obviously we use these with like Eldritch Horror. Works really good. And then, or I'm sorry, we use these with Arkham Horror, and they work super well. That's the living card game, if you're into that one. We got into it pretty good for a while. That's what these are for as well. But we also found that they work for Mansions of Madness really well. The players don't 100% line up, but we were keeping these in front of us and flipping them. Yeah, these actually work as turn indicators for that game as well. So multi-purpose across across the Arkham array of games offered by Fantasy Flight. That's all I got. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. Like I said, if you got questions, drop them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. And until next time, game on.